though we already know the earliest date it will be permitted to resume is the 17th of May. I'm now joined by Julia Bue-Said, the Chief Executive of the Advantage Travel Partnership, a global leisure and business travel network supporting international travel businesses. Julia, thank you so much for joining me.
Good morning.
Well, how confident are you that international travel will resume on 17th of May?
Very confident. We're very confident it will. I think the big question is how, to be honest, and what will it entail? Obviously, we've read a lot this morning around some of the government plans, and devil's always in the detail. So really looking to see what comes out of announcements tomorrow. But we're not expecting a huge amount tomorrow. We're really expecting a lot more detail from the 12th of April.
So tell me, for the business, for the stability of business and the buoyancies of those businesses, how important is it for the travel industry to resume at that date and then accelerate from there?
Oh, it's exceptionally difficult. The industry has essentially been shut down for 12 months. And, without a real sustainable look at actually how do we get international travel to resume in a manner that does not create the changes, the sweeping changes that we saw last year that creates even more uncertainty, it's absolutely critical that the industry is able to get up on its feet and help with economic recovery, but also trade out of it. That's what we're really desperate to try and get our members to be able to do, is to be able to trade out of this really, really difficult time.
What is the sort of mood in your business? Is the mood, well, look, such things happen. It's been terrible, but we understand there isn't very much that could have been done about it. We feel reasonably well supported, but we also feel that support can't possibly be enough. Or is the feeling of sort of anger, we don't know what's going on, the government can't tell us even when it does know, they're not really listening to what we have to say. Where are you on that spectrum?
Well, there's quite a lot there. I think it would be fair to say that we've probably experienced every single one of those sentiments. I think this morning we are waking up and feeling positive, and we're feeling optimistic to the future, but bearing in mind that there was obviously a huge amount of detail to work through. But if you think about it, it's the first sign of any positive sentiment that we have had for months and months against a backlash of some very, very almost sort of negative anti-travel statements. And I think one of the things that is really easy for ministers to sometimes forget is the impact to jobs and businesses that the travel industry underpins. We employ over 1 million people. From an economic perspective, it's around 80 billion GDP that the industry supports in the UK. And this isn't about what it supports overseas. This is in the UK. There are businesses that obviously employ huge amounts of individuals that support the international industry. And it's significant from a business perspective. Many businesses rely on travel. I keep reminding my kids that love football that, without international travel, they wouldn't be watching Champions League and all the other sports they enjoy. So it's very easy to be dismissive of the impacts of the industry, but it's significant from a business and from a leisure perspective.
So what do you think about this proposed traffic light scheme?
I think the traffic light system is something we all used to computing. I think we get it. It's very simple in its basic term. I think we need to really be very clear that what the industry cannot and consumers really cannot entertain is a situation where a country is allowed to go from green to red. So real clarity around. I know we've had some basic criteria come through today, but some real clarity into how does a country go from one colour to the next, if that's the intention. So in the basic form, it's a simple idea, but I think the real criteria, the real necessity is the criteria that is required for each of those countries, and what happens if a country does move. How quickly can it move?
That's interesting, because so that is choosing certainty and stability over speed. Because if you take a particular country and you decide you don't know yet for certain that you'll be able to stay in green, your view is you should hold off longer before you move it from red. It's better to hold off and get certainty than it is to get speed. Is that the view?
We know from all the research we've done and right across the industry, the biggest inhibitor to booking travel is the risk of a country moving to red. And if you recall, last summer we had a situation with the travel corridors, and I think at one stage we were literally getting overnight notice, but I don't think we got overnight notice. Literally, countries were moving quickly into what would now be a red list. That's unmanageable operationally. Forget all the stress and turmoil it creates, but it's just not manageable and creates more anxiety in trying to get customers abroad, customers back from where they are. So stability and certainty is really, really important for the industry and for travellers who are looking for that in terms of booking and being able to book with confidence is really important.
Well, let's look at the some of our listeners, or many of them, will be thinking about their own summer holidays. How should you approach that problem? Let's say that you thought it would be lovely to go to Greece in August. How would you decide whether to book that now, whether to wait when somebody else may have booked it, whether you're going to book it and get your money back? How would you approach that problem?
So the really important part in all of this is really thinking about who somebody's booking with. So there are many options, obviously, to book travel, but it's important to understand when you're booking right now, you need the flexibility in the event of changes happening. So make sure that you're booking with a reputable travel agent, an agent that's APTA, and also an agent that does offer flexible terms. And many good travel agents, human travel agents, right across the country are doing that and have been doing that. With guarantees. So guarantees that in the event of any changes having to change their travel plans in the event because of government changes, then they are able to confidently cancel with a money back guarantee and flexibility around changing their holidays. And there are options in play. And actually, the industry has been very innovative to try and give customers, because everybody wants to book. People are booking not just for holiday reasons, but want to meet loved ones overseas that they haven't seen for a year now. So they're wanting to make plans, but it is that confidence that you can book with flexible terms and a guarantee is really important.
So it's the vendor rather than the venue that you suggest people concentrate on.
I think until we have the clarity as to how the traffic light system will be implemented, flexibility is absolutely and absolutely around the vendors. So who are you booking with is going to be exceptionally important. I think the other point also is, if you spoke to, for example, some of the travel agents that are members of mine and many others, if you spoke to them about booking for travel from the 17th of May, early summer, as an example, I think right now what they would be saying to you would be, we don't have clarity. There are likely to be changes in play. If you're wanting to travel that early on in, that late spring and early summer period, there is a risk that your holiday or travel plans may change. So what we're seeing is bookings from an industry perspective, the vast majority of the holidays that we're selling now are for September onwards. But we are anticipating, once we have greater clarity over the next few weeks, there is going to be inevitably a surge in bookings that will take place for the early summer period.
And looking forward to the industry in the future, some people say, the first thing that will happen, everyone will flood back to normal. Everyone's going to go and try and take the foreign holiday they haven't, they've saved the money for but haven't been able to take. And other people say we'll all be much more cautious once this is over. It won't return back to normal. People's patterns will be altered for several years. Where are you on the spectrum there?
I guess it depends on why consumers choose to travel. If you're families and you're traveling with school-age children, your travel plans will be restricted to school holidays, so that pattern will not change. So inevitably we'll continue seeing the need to support consumers traveling during school time. I think for visiting friends and family, well, that pattern is very mixed throughout the year anyhow. So I think what we're likely to see is, and it's interesting because instinctively, I want to say people are going to book later, but actually we're right now seeing the reverse. We've got travel bookings for 2023, which is extraordinary.